far and away, the number one question that I get asked by my clients is exactly what is the home buying process? A fair question and a complicated one, and I'm not sure if that's on purpose or by accident, but it's multifaceted and absolutely convoluted, and here we are. So here it is, A to Z, everything you need to know in order to purchase your home. And look, it doesn't matter if you bought and sold many homes in the past or if you're a first-time home buyer, everything. I mean, everything has changed since January 2024. So listen up, I'm about to show you exactly what you need to do from beginning to end in order to get you into your dream home. All that and more on today's episode of Living in Spokane, Washington with the PNW Dream Homes team. Let's get to it. So you might be asking yourself, why does this even matter? I'm just going to hire a realtor. They're going to show me everything A to Z. I'm just here to pick out my dream home and they're going to guide me through the rest. Look, if your realtor is really good at what they do, then it might be that simple. But just like doctors, lawyers, or anyone in any profession, realtors are just human and they're not all created equal. You're going to want to make sure that you understand the process from beginning to end so that you can be well informed of what is coming ahead, what you're dealing with now, and what everything should look like. This is one of those things that the more you understand, the less stressful it is. So I highly encourage you all to pay attention, dig in, give me the best 15 minutes of your time. I swear to you, by the end, you'll have a much better, clearer picture of what to expect. It will greatly help you in understanding what's happening when you go to purchase your own home. All right, step one, first things first. What I advise the vast majority of my clients is to get in touch with one of my lender partners and get yourself pre-approved for a loan. In today's market, oftentimes, especially in the greater Spokane region, we're one of the top 10 hottest markets in America. You're going to want to make sure that you go through this pre-approval process with our lenders, because what often happens is we get in competitive bidding situations on homes, and those offers that come in without a pre-approval lender, the listing agent looks at those offers and oftentimes just discards them to the side. You can kind of think of this as a prerequisite. It signals to other sellers that you are serious and qualified and ready to go. You got to understand, in hot, fast-paced markets where things are zigging and zagging, you're going to have to be prepared to make decisions fairly quickly, oftentimes a little faster than you may be comfortable with, in order to secure that home of yours. And a pre-approval letter is literally the first step in that. Not only that, you got to understand, having a pre-approval with a lender lets you know exactly what your expected payments should be, how much home you can afford, and whether or not you're being realistic about what you want versus what you can afford. This will help us stay on target properties that meet your criteria, yet at the same time you qualify for, meaning nobody is wasting their time and we can make our offers with confidence and being serious, and the ability to follow through with what we promise the sellers. All right, after you do that, you're going to move on to step 2. This is all about finding the right agent for you. Now look, Step 1 and Step 2 can be flip-flopped depending on your situation. I have clients about 50-50 that come with me already good to go with a pre-approval, and the other 50% come to me and I give them lender contacts that I work closely with every single day, and then they get their pre-approval. Either which way, you want to make sure that you're working with somebody that you highly align with, has a communication style that mimics and matches yours, and shows themselves to be proficient at the task at hand. Because after all, you don't want somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't care what they're doing, and or in other words, is just there to collect a paycheck. I don't know about you, but if I was being represented in this process, I would want to make sure that person actually cares and wants to accomplish my goals instead of their own. Now, outside of that, some things that you may want to look for as a realtor with a little bit of experience under the belt, and don't just consider their time that they've been licensed. Make sure that you ask them how many deals they've done in the last year or two, because ultimately real estate is one of those things where the landscape is constantly changing, so you want to make sure that they're active in today's market. I myself have been a realtor for almost 15 years at this point. Crazy, I know. And oftentimes I do feel silly by just like throwing that out there, how long I've been doing this, but it's important that people understand that you've been there, done that, seen a variety of scenarios, that you're more than able to handle the various multitude of situations that will absolutely arise during this process. Okay, now we move on to step 3. This is where it really does get fun for me and for you. That's right, I'm talking about the home search and viewing of properties. Now look, the way this is done has changed dramatically since I got started. Back then, the role of a realtor really was 80% us finding homes and sending them to you, and 20% of our knowledge of the forms and process to get you to the end. These days, with websites like Zillow.com, Realtor.com, and the new kid on the block, Homes.com, what I'm experiencing, and realtors all around the nation that I network with are saying the same thing, is that the vast majority of clients, about 80% or more, are finding the homes themselves, then sending them to their agent, who then does a little bit of property research, and or if it's a good fit, sets an appointment for us to go preview it in person. That's not to say that we don't find homes for our clients still. We oftentimes set up these automated search process and do some manual search process here and then. But what I find is that typically that my clients really do like the search for their own homes, scour Zillow, and then, they will send me their favorites among those, kind of doing the vast majority of that work. Now, where does the agent come in? Today, we provide value in many different ways. Oftentimes, you got to understand many more addenda, forms, and legal ramifications exist today that just weren't around back then. We got to assist you in navigating that field to make sure that you get to the other side, which is the purchase of your dream home. Now, during this phase, you want to pay attention to various things that some people do not consider that you absolutely should. For example, where is the home located exactly? What are the commutes to your work? What are the commutes to your childcare? What are the commutes to your schools? Etc, etc, etc. You're going to want to make sure it's not too far from any of these things that you want access to, and sometimes too close to some of these things that you don't want access to, talking about them in-laws, or that you actually feel safe and enjoy the neighborhood itself. Now, this could obviously be a safety thing if the neighborhood's a little rougher than you may like, but it could be also like a situation like me. I personally purchased a home in a gated community on a golf course thinking that would be great, and it was for about a week. And then I realized the inconvenience of waiting for that gate to open and close every time I come in and out as a realtor who practically lives in his car has been a wild inconvenience on my day to day. It's one of those things that I absolutely wish I would have taken into consideration before I purchased the home. So this is where you really need to think deep, dig in, and really consider some of the other factors outside the home that are going to be important to you when determining your home base. All right, now we move on to step 4. Since January 2024, it really is the formalizing of the relationship between you and your agent of choice. Here in Washington, we call it a buyer's representation agreement. And what that is a document that says you and your realtor have a working relationship with each other. It lays out some of the terms like the duration of this relationship, goes over how commissions are paid out and what your rates are, and how various scenarios will play out if you cross those bridges. Now look, it doesn't matter if you work with me or any other realtor in the state of Washington, you're going to have to sign early on within the first home or two a buyer's representation, formalizing that relationship with your agent. It's literally the law. So don't take offense. We're not trying to pressure you into anything. It's just a requirement of our industry at this date and time. But by this point in the process, you've met your agent, you've met their lenders, you've got a good idea if you like their communication style, the team that they work with, that you can get a sense if they have a process and experience, if they know what they're talking about, and you've probably seen a home or two together. My advice is if you still feel on the fence about your realtor at this time, then it's probably a good opportunity to go ahead and move on to the next one. Assuming it's all good, you're going to move on to step 5, which is making an offer and negotiating your contract. Now that you formalized your relationship with your realtor, you've gone and looked at homes together, and you found the one you want to make an offer on, it's time to put pen to paper, get strategic, and talk about what kind of situation that you're hoping to attain. What I mean by that is sometimes our lending and financing requirements will require certain conditions, or you'll love the home, but there might be something about it that you don't like that you want to make sure you include in the contract that item gets taken care of. etc., etc. This is where the expertise of your agent really comes in. Negotiating and putting deals together is what we do day in and day out, and if your agent is worth their salt, this is where they really have their opportunity to shine on your behalf. You should have a frank and formal conversation with your agent about what sort of contingencies should be in place, what are their market conditions, and what may they require we add to the contract itself. And it may be a good idea for you to suggest, if your agent already hasn't done so, for them to speak to the list agent and the sellers to see what's important to them in making a deal as well. You got to understand, this is a situation where both sides want to win, and in my experience, using team language and trying to find win-win scenarios absolutely every time for the best result. Once you get your offer accepted by sellers on your home, you move on to step 6. This is where you execute your due diligence. The vast majority of the time, your broker is going to recommend that you get an inspection on the potential home that you wish to purchase. This is an important time in the process where you have the opportunity to check out the home with the inspector, ask questions, find out if any latent issues exist. And if there are, here in Washington in the Spokane area, you get a good opportunity to renegotiate a few terms based on the results of the inspection itself. These terms can be wildly varied in nature. I've had everything from a replacement of a roof, switching out a light socket, to even renegotiating some financing terms like seller contributions themselves. You can really think of this time as a second phase of negotiation if you have that inspection contingency in place. But it's not just about that. Due diligence really means we need to satisfy all the contingencies that we have in the offer contract itself. These are commonly ranging from things like satisfying our financing contingency, checking to make sure that the title reports are clean, double checking the utilities that are offered at the property. If it's an older home, maybe getting it inspected for lead-based paint if you have kids, etc., etc. There are many, many contingencies and addenda that we can add to the contract that are all designed to protect you and make sure that we have a secure sale so that you feel good moving forward. Now, once you satisfy and do your due diligence, you're ready for step 7, which is straight up closing the deal and moving in. Now, I said it once, but I'm actually going to say this is the actual fun part. This isn't a time to relax and pull back and get complacent. I've seen many deals fall apart at the 99-yard line because people weren't paying attention, or they said something and emotions got involved. You just never know. But the vast majority of time, what this step looks like is you're going to arrange with a closer/escrow company your final signing, which precedes your final walkthrough. And this is where you make sure everything's good to go, and then you sign all the rest of the paperwork to secure the deal and close this thing out. The escrow and title company are going to do things like record your title with the county, make sure the deal gets funded, and just basically that the property is transferred to you and the sale finalizes. You're probably going to meet with your realtor afterwards, where they're going to hand you keys. You guys are going to celebrate, probably go get a drink, and then the work starts. That's right, I'm talking about moving in. And oftentimes we step up into our homes, which means more space, which means all of this furniture that you have doesn't quite fit, so you got to add more, do this, do that, clean. I mean, you know, moving can be stressful in and of itself. I find that usually pitching in with some pizza and beer really lightens the mood and makes this time really fun for everyone. When you move in though, there's some things that you want to make sure that you do nice and early before you get everything in there, so that you have a good idea of where some of these important things are in case of an emergency type situation. First things first, you want to make sure all the utilities are transferred into your name. You want to get that power, water, etc., so that no funny business happens after the fact. Next, you're going to want to go in and you want to make sure that you know how various things work. I'm talking about the sprinkler system, the electrical system, where the emergency water shutoff valve is, how the security system works, how to get into your crawl spaces and attic, double check to make sure you have the garage remotes and that they work, check the batteries to all your fire alarms, where's your sewer drain access point inside and outside, and possibly even, yes, changing out some light bulbs that are more than likely have already burned out. Doing this now, on top of cleaning the entire space, if it wasn't already done, will save you so much grief in the long run. I just can't recommend it enough. What I find with my clients is these little details that absolutely make the difference between an amazing situation worthy of celebration and something that they ultimately dread, regret, and kind of disgruntled about. Again, a good real estate agent will guide you through this process, let you know what to expect, and give you these tips and tricks ahead of time. All right, you did it. You're a homeowner. Congrats. Hopefully you and this home buying process absolutely goes great. I'm rooting for you. And just remember, if you get upset or confused or emotionally charged during this process because it can be frustrating, just know everybody experiences this at some point in their own home purchase process. It's completely normal and it's absolutely okay to feel that way. They're going to help guide you through and navigate this entire landscape and make sure that you get to the end relatively unscathed. With that being said, if you guys like what you heard today, be sure to give us a little thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps a growing channel out. My name is Adam Clark, and if you're looking to relocate over to our wonderful, beautiful city of Spokane and the surrounding region, be sure to reach out to us at any of the information that you find below. And just remember, we get calls, texts, emails, and messages every single day from people just like you who are looking to relocate to Spokane. So just give us a call. One of my team or I will get on the phone and we're going to help you A to Z and guide you through this entire difficult process of relocation. We're here to help and we look forward to talking to you. Until next time, guys, see you later.